about the Seahorse side of things? Because, you know, your social media is really making me want to go. You've kind of you've got me at rosé. You know, just even the beautiful bottle of rosé will sell a million tables, I'm sure. But, you know, what's the differences then between that and Rockfish? You know, how would you explain it to someone?
Well, the Seahorse is, I think it's a life's work, really. I mean, my sort of inspiration in restaurant life comes from historic places like Sostanza, Harry's Bar, I Bologna in Piemonte. Those kind of old places that have just been around for years, where the patron's been there for a long time. El Testieri, Gattonera in Venice. You know, I could go on about these lovely restaurants. And I wanted, for the Seahorse, we wanted to create this institution that was going to be there a long time after we were gone.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create a way of life out of it rather than just a restaurant. So when we built it, we had all the furniture handmade, and, you know, everything was really wonderful about it. And we set about cooking seafood in an Italian way over an open fire. And I think we were one of the very first people 12 years ago to be cooking over an open fire. Now everybody has an open fire, even before a stove these days. And I remember having the fire officer in and telling them we were going to have an open fire. And the fire officer looking at me and saying, "What above these flats?" And he wouldn't actually allow us to do it. So we went and bought a Josper oven, and which we mastered and really made work for us. And but because it was self-contained, he was happy. So that was the journey of how the Seahorse started. And we created this rhythm there, which was our way of life. Matt and I did every shift. And for the first several years, we would sit down and we'd eat together. We finish work late at night. I'd get the ferry over. We'd be back in the morning. We'd have a grappa or a brandy together and a coffee, and we'd work out the next menu. And that was it. And then our first employee was a guy called Jake, who was straight from college. And Jake worked alongside Matt and I through the whole thing. And now Jake is the head chef. And he's learned the ways of the Seahorse, the way we do things, the way things have to be at the Seahorse, the behind-the-scenes organisation, the sort of madness that creeps in when the dining room's full of people, and how it can just go off into a kind of, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning party, and, you know, it's just can happen if you get the right people in there. And then we had another young lad join us from college who's been with us 6 years, and or maybe more, 6 or 7. And he's sous chef there. He's absolutely brilliant. Matt and I haven't been in the kitchen. You know, I still guide the food, but we haven't been in the kitchen for a few years now. And so I still offer a lot of inspiration and guide the menus and bring ideas and thoughts back. And we mentor these guys. And my son joined the business. He's been in and out of the business, but joined the business about 1.5 years ago. Ben, he's a great chef too. And my daughter Isabel, she's been in the business 2 years. She's 18 now. She's been in the business front of house. And Ben's girlfriend is coming to work there. So we're kind of creating this, I feel like this kind of, this family restaurant, this place that is as it is. And, you know, we ponder about every single detail in there. And it's not a food mecca. We don't want it to be a place that you come and you eat things and think, oh my God, this is just nuts. It's just a beautiful place to come and sit down and have some amazingly good grilled fish, some lovely pastas, some lovely cured meats, some favourite timeless Italian dishes, and some simple ones with a great wine list. And this year we branched out and had a little tent on the beach, which was good, which the council...
that actually, yeah, it looked great.
It's right on the harbour. The council have been resisting it for 10 years, but they didn't have any chance of resisting it this year, because the government and the national initiative was to get restaurants outside. And I think it's gone down very well. And I hope we're going to get support for that next year. And we've also just built a trailer. So we have with an ox grill on the back. And we're hoping to take the Seahorse to people's homes, where we can, you know, rock up and cook for 20 or 30 people in the garden or on the beach or anywhere they want to, and that'll be great. And also, since we first opened, we've opened a bar, and Joe's Bar was named after a very, very dear friend of mine who sadly died suddenly with his wife of an illness. And so we named Joe's Bar after Joe, because he was such a great guy. And Joe was a huge fan of, this is kind of like one of those lovely stories about the Seahorse, of which there are many. Joe was a great Jeff Beck fan, and the guitarist. And, you know, he took us to concerts, you know, his funeral, we played his music. And when we opened Joe's Bar, Jeff Beck was the very first person to walk in that bar and order a martini.
No.
Yeah, and so Jeff signed a menu, and he's been back and since cooked with us, and we opened our private dining room, which is really great.
Wow.
And he's a customer of the restaurant, but I just love that can happen. That if you create something, those ley lines of life can cross and happen. And there are lots of very beautiful stories about that dining room. You know, friendships that have bonded, chefs that have cooked with us, nights that have happened. It's just an amazing place. It really is.
I'm stunned by that. And what, like, had you invited him down, or it happened, like serendipity?
It just happened, serendipity, and it was just one of those things. And
Well, that would get you, wouldn't it? That would, like, so emotional, like thinking that. What's the chances of that?
Well, it's not. I mean, that was one of the most beautiful things. And Jeff signed this menu saying, sorry, we missed each other. And I had met Jeff previously, coming to the restaurant, but I didn't know he was coming that day. And it was real cool. It was a bit rock and roll. It was quite nice. And
very rock and roll. What was Jeff Beck in? Was he in the Yardbirds?
Yardbirds and I think Jeff Beck band. I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe Clapton though, right?
Yeah, Clapton. Yeah. He's a great guy and really smashing. And as I say, every time he's down, he comes to the restaurant with a great friend of mine, Pete Richardson, who comes to the restaurant an awful lot. The old Comic Strip Presents director. And
oh yeah,
he's a great lad. So they're good friends and they're coming together, which is nice. But on that one day, it was just it was unannounced and there it happened. But we've had so many wonderful stories at the Seahorse that I feel it's created its own history. For people, for guests, people feel like it's their restaurant, and they come in and just have that classic Seahorse check, which is the roasted scallops, the monkfish for two, the courgette fritti, and a bottle of tonics that me and Hixie make or something else. And that is a classic Seahorse check that they come for. And we love that. And I think that's great about a restaurant that you love, to know that before you even get there, you're going to have that thing. Yeah. And I think that if you get to that restaurant and they suddenly haven't got it on the menu and it's all a bit kind of strange, then it suddenly stops becoming the place. And I don't mind that. I don't need the restaurant to be exciting and changing every day. I just want it to be, there.
Right. That sounds brilliant. I mean, Dave's always saying to me, he's like, you've got to go down. So yeah, at some point we'll definitely come down.
Come down, Mark. Yeah, it's a good.
Love to.
It is good. But the talent, I think what's really special about it is that Jake and Tits, as we call him, the sous chef, and Ben, they're about to sort of, we always wondered who would carry on our work. Matt and I would say, who would carry this on after us? And they are carrying our work. And, we've had that conversation with them that is, this isn't a job. This is a lifestyle. Think about before you take this role on and before you go into the next decade, we're never going to have those conversations about, I'm giving you a month's notice.
Yeah.
This is you guys taking over and your guardians for the next period of time until we have other people behind you. And that's how they see their jobs, and that's how they see their part in it. Yeah. And that is, for me, makes it incredibly special.
Yeah.